Violence. It's pretty cool. No, not in real life, I mean in manga. Violence is one of the most common themes in all of manga, and an anime without it is probably either Slice of Life or a Naruto arc where he talks the villain out of killing the entire world for the 50th time. Yet after all of that, there is one anime and manga that lacks any violence and perfectly embodies the power that non-violence has. Hey! Okay. One Piece is pretty violent. Fighting is a constant throughout the entire series, and almost every prominent character has the ability to punch fight. Every arc thus far has featured a fight, and some of the biggest moments in the show's histories comes from fights. Yet even with the American military levels of violence we have present in the show, non-violence is surprisingly powerful. Ever since the very first chapter, non-violence has been an extremely important theme, but before we can delve into the theme of non-violence, let me explain why subscribing can help you with violence. Bear with me for a bit, this one's weird. Alright, what am I? American. And what are Americans known for? A lot of things. Not many of them positive, but lots of military spending. So by subscribing to this channel, you will gain the power of the American military. I should just stick to talking about Zoro's chest in these bits. Non-violence, or the art of not fighting back, was first shown all the way back in chapter 1, before violence was even shown, so maybe it's just the original form of violence. Regardless, through Shanks, we got to first see the power of not fighting back. When Hikama the bear spilled alcohol all over Shanks, and Shanks and his crew simply laughed it off, Luffy started yelling at them, as at the time, he couldn't quite understand why Shanks wouldn't fight back. However, I think Luffy's journey to understanding why Shanks didn't fight back at the moment is one of the most important lessons Luffy has learned. At the end of the day, Shanks didn't fight back against Hikama for one simple reason. It was a waste of his time. I mean, this dude had around 1 billion berry bounty at the time, so an 8 million berry crew would be quite possibly his easiest quote-unquote challenge yet. Yet he didn't fight back because, well, he had better things to do. Over time, Luffy finally came to the understanding that you should only fight those who are actually worthy of being fought, and that sometimes not fighting back means that you win the fight. His first time meeting Bellamy was what showed us this belief in full force. Luffy realized that Bellamy wasn't actually worthy of his time, so he just took all of Bellamy's abuse. At the same time, it became clear that Luffy also won the battle purely because he didn't fight back. He didn't give in to Bellamy's taunts and was the bigger man, meaning that even though he may have been bleeding and hurt, he won the battle. By not giving in to their urge to fight back, Luffy and Zoro effectively proved that they were better than Bellamy, something that even Blackbeard acknowledged. Side note, but the fact that Luffy decided to not fight Bellamy after hearing about his lack of dreams and the fact that he didn't even believe in them is so cool. It really showed how Luffy believes a person without dreams and aspirations is barely a person and definitely not worth fighting. Speaking of Blackbeard though, this man is surprisingly a prominent figure in the No Violence gang, even though he is definitely also a prominent figure in the Violent gang. I think one of the most important things Blackbeard said was anyone who wants to be a first-rate man will encounter a time when there is no need to fight back. The idea of becoming a man in One Piece has usually been associated with senseless violence and establishing dominance over everyone. But in this one sentence, Blackbeard shows us that that isn't always the case. Sometimes not fighting back makes you the better man. But also with Blackbeard, I think we should take a second to talk about just how this man uses non-violence to advance in this world. Most of Blackbeard's character isn't focused around senseless violence. He's a careful, calculated man who spends years working towards one plan. Blackbeard understands that sometimes he shouldn't fight back as it is a waste of time. He recognizes that he should only fight when he has to, and that otherwise he should just work his way around violence. I think most of the prominent figures in the world of One Piece have come to this conclusion, that they should only use violence when they have to, and that otherwise they can get what they want without fighting. I think that's a key separation between the top-rate pirates and the bottom feeders. The ones at the top realize that violence isn't always the answer. Not fighting back, however, is also important for another reason: honor and dignity. In this world of One Piece and pirates, honor and dignity are super important, just not in the conventional way. While normally we associate honor with esteemed good people who gain their power while through honest dealings, in the world of pirating, it's like the exact opposite of what I just said. The more fights you win, the more treasure you get, the more power you have, the more honored you are. But at the same time, for the people at the top, they already know they're powerful. The pirates at the very top of this world have no need to prove themselves to others, meaning that fighting back against lesser pirates would only ruin their honor. They have enough dignity to not fight against low-leveled pirates for no reason. And this again all ties back to the point I made about being the better man. By not fighting, sometimes you're just establishing yourself as the better person. And finally, let's talk about how the concept of not fighting back has shaped this dude, because, well, this dude is kind of important to the story. While Luffy is upon first glance a hot-headed, battle-hungry kid who will charge into a fight without ever thinking about the consequences of his actions, there are actually only two types of people he would fight: the people who hurt his friends and the people who are in the way of his dream to become Pirate King, or whatever his other dream is. Which is quite unfortunate for him because well, those two groups basically encompass every major threat in this world, so, good luck to him. But for real, ever since young Luffy saw Shanks say that he will never forgive someone who hurts his friends, it's clear that he adopted the same mentality. Luffy only fights back if the person he's fighting against will directly hurt his dream or his friends, which is why he went back to fight Bellamy after Bellamy hurt his friends. The concept of not fighting back has shaped Luffy into who he is today. Some of his best moments are when he fights back against someone who's hurt his friends. For example, his punch on Charlos, his fight against Kaido, his fight against Katakuri, hell, even his fight against fucking Foxy. All of it was because they were going to hurt his friends or stand in the way of his dreams. Or in the case of Kaido, both. Overall though, not fighting back is a pretty essential thing to One Piece. It manages to tie into all of the major themes found in One Piece, from the concept of being a man to even the idea of honor and dignity. From Shanks to Luffy, not fighting back has shaped the show as we know it, and even though violence is still a super important theme in the show, the opposite of that is pretty influential too. Overall though, that's it for me. Thank you.